What's up, everybody? This is Andy Morales with Angela Murray, and I hope everyone's having a great day. Just a quick rundown of why we're here today. We have Greg Mancy with us as our guest. How are you, man?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself? Thanks for having me.
No doubt, man. So you're coming out with a book coming soon, right?
Yeah, my second one, believe it or not.
Yeah, that's the second book as the series. Or when it's actually officially April 4th, right? That's when we can actually get our hands on it. April 4th?
Yeah, I think that's when it's going to be like on Amazon and whatnot.
Awesome. Because I know that's exactly what we want to be talking about today, how people can get access to this incredible work. Because I know there's definitely people who have been fans of yours for a while that are definitely picking up the podcast. But also, Greg, there might be some new fans just finding out about you today or whenever they find the podcast. Or, hey, maybe they're just fans of poetry and holy shit, they're here. Oh, my God, there's a thing with Greg and they learn about you. So, like, who are you, man? Who are you as a writer? Or, like, are you a writer? Or is this kind of like the side hustle?
Yeah, that's a little question right off the rip.
We go hard here. We go real
That's
hard.
fine. I really suck at those sort of broad questions, so I'll try to answer that one.
You're doing great.
I'd like to say that I consider myself an observer, a muser, and a storyteller, as far as that goes. My big influences as far as like style goes would be, if you're familiar with any of these people, Jack Kerouac, who was a really good observer.
Never heard of Jack. No, I'm just kidding. Of course,
I mean,
Jack Kerouac.
Well, some people, but he's one of them. Raymond Carver is another big one. John Updike is another big one. Those are like the big three who I really,
can I
sort of.
on that?
What's that?
Greg, John Updike. That's a new one. I've never heard anybody utilize John Updike. I used to work in a library. So I know. Well, I used to work in a library, so I've definitely shelved a bunch of Updike books. So why Updike? Why such a? And of course, you just said they're fools. Why are they such a fool? Tell me about Updike.
Well, I mean, I consider Updike to be like probably the best writer of the latter half of the 20th century. But I think that's because I relate to him pretty well because he was a small town guy. He wrote about really kind of like nothing, just like everyday sort of stuff. I grew up small town, small rural town.
In New York State or where?
Yes, in New York State. In New YorkTate, about a half hour south of Albany, in a little town called Chatham.
Okay, never heard of it.
I know Chatham. I know Chatham. That's interesting because one of my
bullshit you do.
No. So I only know about Chatham because one of my old coworkers. I can't talk about where I work, but there's a location over there at Chatham.
Shh. Don't even say anything, Greg.
Wait, what? So there's a location of this place I work at. Like, they have multiple locations, and they have a location at Chatham. That's the only reason why I even know about Chatham. But other than that, I know nothing else but that.
I'm curious because I didn't think that was like a hotbed of secret activity. But maybe it's changed since I graduated. I don't know.
All right. Well, so Chatham is small town because Andy knows where it is. Because Andy knows everything, but we'll learn about
I don't know everything. I know okay, so this is the misconception about me. I know a little bit of everything. I don't know everything. I know a little bit about a lot of things.
Andy, thought I knew stuff. I thought I knew stuff, but you put me to shame. So anyway, Greg, you're a small towner. So you're writing about, tell me, what's small town Greg like? What's growing up in a small town and inspire you to write? Were you writing back then, or is this kind of later in life?
Well, no, but I'm actually kind of a late bloomer as far as the writing goes.
Okay, what does late bloomer mean?
Meaning, like, when I was a kid, I always kind of had like an active imagination, but I suck at like drawing. I suck at musicianship. I was not really a big bookworm or book nerd or hid in the library.
Average American Greg.
Yeah.
American Greg. Okay.
Exactly. I played with my action figures. I played with my the Sega Genesis, and that was really about it. And I would,
Greg, I apologize. I'm going to cut you off for a second. I'm 40.
You're fine.
Again, no, I'm 40 years old. So like what year or how old are you? So I'm just imagining. I think we're thinking the same. Like you're a little bit younger than us, I think.
I'm 36.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
okay,
So
so-
I'm okay. So it's Angela, then it's me, and then it's Greg. Got you. Because I'm
Yeah,
I'm
Greg's
gonna
the
be
baby
38
now.
in
Not
July.
the baby anymore, Andy.
Oh my
Baby anymore. All
god.
right, Greg's the baby. All
Hey,
right,
but he
so
brought it
action
back
figures
though.
wise, I just want to figure out what kind of action figures they were. So what action figures are we talking about? Because it's not GI Joes anymore.
No,
Man,
no,
kids
no,
don't know
no.
about kids don't know about that today. They don't know.
I know. So what are we talking about? Like Pokemon? What kind of action figures?
No, God, no. I had a ton of like the old timey WWF ones.
Wow. Oh
And-
wait, you're a wrestling
Okay,
fan.
wrestling.
Yes.
I was. I
Oh,
was.
you
I
was.
definitely know. Okay, I've seen those. I've not had those, but I've seen those. So,
WWF,
okay. Good. So we're playing
exactly.
with the WWE wrestling figures. Wish we had music
Nah, no,
talent.
no.
Wish we had artistic talent, but according to Greg, has none. So then where it goes? We're back to youthful Greg. So when did the writing happen?
I mean, I was always pretty decent at it. Like as far as like school goes, that was English and like the creative aspects. That was always like what I was really good at. But you know, you didn't really do it that much, so nobody got. I didn't really get to like water the plants, so to speak, as far as that goes, or grow a little bit.
Yeah. You never got to marinate that talent. Oh, that's not even good either. I'm sorry, that was bad too. Go ahead.
I never got to marinate that meat. If that's what you're going for, no, I never marinated the meat
There you
for
go.
that. So then,
Perfect, Greg.
then I would say probably I'm gonna skip a few years here, and I'm gonna go my second foray into collegiate learning. I went back to get my my bachelor's to try to better myself in the job market, which went absolutely nowhere. But so I went back, got my bachelor's. I originally was majoring in communication, minoring in English, but I had to take statistics, and I suck at math, so I swapped, and I majored in English, minored in communication. And we wound up doing a bunch of like creative writing projects and everything, and I thought I did okay on them. And the reception I got in these classes and from some of my teachers was like overwhelmingly positive, like surprisingly.
Awesome.
And a few people, some teachers and some of my, you really try this, you really invest in this. I'm like, maybe. So I just sort of like.
That's great. Oh my gosh. So that's kind of a unique story. Greg, keep going because I'll say something after you're done.
Okay, so then I started sort of fiddle fucking around with things, and I just the library. I went to the University of Albany, and the library there is actually really, really fucking good. There's a lot of obscure writers that you just kind of wouldn't think that a school library would have. So that's where I really discovered like Raymond Carver and John Updike and a lot of those because I had the entire catalog for these guys. So I would just dive into those when I was supposed to be doing actual schoolwork. And that's where I got it from. And then I started just, Carver especially. Let me do a quick sidetrack into that. He's primarily a short story writer. He's considered by a lot of people to be like the American Chekhov. He does a lot of less is more realism stuff. And I like that. And he was also a poet, but his poems are like really more like story snippets. And I really took to that. I really liked that. And then I was like, let's see if I can do this. And then I got into that and I started honing that style a little bit. And I took a bunch of the other influences that I liked, took out what I liked from what they did, and tried to put my own little spin on it. And that's kind of how I developed my own little voice here. So I started with the style of Carver, working a little small town John Updike, a little rawness of Kerouac, and just kind of see where it goes with my own little musings.
So my question is like, so can you all right? Because I remember where I was when I wrote my very first piece, where I just decided to grab a pen and a paper, start writing. Can you recall in your particular case as to when that was for you? Pretty much like where were you? What were you doing? And then what happened on that particular day that made you decide, I'm going to write a piece for the first time?
Well, because it sounds like this kind of, because that's what I wanted to say as I was letting you finish, Greg, is your kind of story is a little bit unique almost, because it almost seems like you were kind of going on with your life, not even realizing that this is something that was even necessarily a part of you until somebody actually said, hey, dude, you got something here. And it just kind of came out of you. Maybe it was part of you all along, but you just never realized it. So I think Andy's question is really good. When was the first time you wrote a thing for yourself?
I would say probably elementary school, when we'd have like these fun little like make your own little book things, and they're all like these little picture books and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
And I would go so far over the top ridiculous with them, because I mean my influences growing up, I was watching like Universal horror movies and stuff when I was like 4 or 5 years old. So I've always been into like weird sort of shit like that. I've always taken to it. So these little picture books we draw would be just like, I'd be walking along, going to school, and then here comes a monster. And the monster just wreaks havoc on everything for really no reason. But that's where it started. And I'm pretty sure my mother still has a whole bunch of them saved, so I can dig those out at any point in time and reminisce. But,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
So
I definitely have those too. We had the same kind of things. We have like a young authors conference, and we would make kind of books like that too. So yeah, the fact that your mom has that's awesome. That's so great.
So yeah, like I said, I always had sort of an active imagination, and that was like the only place where I could do it. That and with my action figures, and that was about it. That's where I could create my own little world. I've always sort of been an escapist, and I'm gonna tell this. I'm gonna tell this story. I'm gonna tell this story real quick. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, go, Greg.
No, oh, my bad.
Hold on, Andy. He's got a story. Greg, go for it. We got to hear this imagination.
So like my mother loves telling this one to people. When I was like probably 4 or 5 years old, probably younger, like 3 or 4, we used to live at my grandma's house, which is really sort of nestled, which used to be really sort of nestled back in the woods there. And
we're in that small little town, right?
Yeah.
So rural community.
And so I would just take this giant fishing net and just flop it over myself and sit with this fishing net over myself and kind of just stare off. And I don't remember doing this, but she said I would sit there for like 2 hours sometimes. She's like, I have no idea what the hell you were ever thinking. No idea. And then I would just get out of the net and then go about my day. Wow. And that's really, so I'm kind of,
that sounds. Remember doing it. That's what makes it so funny to me, is that you don't remember doing it.
Yeah, so it sounds really weird when I say it out loud, but I mean, that's kind of where it started. So my guess is that I was just like making stuff up. I was probably just making stuff up in my head, and then I would just draw about it or, reenact it with Batman and Macho Man Randy Savage. That's about it.
Wow, that's awesome. And it's interesting because I feel like I relate to you in that regard. Like sometimes it's just random stuff that happens in my head. I'm like, you know what? Let me write about it, even though I don't know what the fuck I'm writing. And then I'll look back sometimes. I'm like, wait, I wrote this? Like, this is very interesting stuff. I don't know where my mind was at when I wrote it, but it was very interesting to look back at stuff like that and actually just like, wow, this is interesting. Because one thing I understood too, and I've had another poet tell me this, it feels like it's from outside. Like, even though it's not from outside, it's from inside of us, but it feels like it's from outside, if that makes sense. So with that being said, because I know you have a second book coming out, but before we talk about the second book, walk us to the process of your first book, so we could, so we could have an idea of.
What was the situation setting?
Yeah, thank you, Angela. I'm sorry, because I somehow had a tongue twister there, and then also
that's perfect. I also think maybe it might be a good idea. Well, although this seems like you have pieces pulled already for our second book. I think it might be a good idea to hear something from you too right now. I think that our readers, our hearers, our listeners might want to hear a Greg piece right now.
Okay, sure. If you'd like me to.
A Greg piece. Now, this is from the second book, and then let's go in. So let's share some of Greg writing, and we can get into that. Because again, we got some of the influences as far as like things we might hear or interpret as we're hearing your voice, but we might even. Now that we got a little bit of your background influences, we might be able to see where those seeds were sowed. So, okay, what do you got for us? What's the first piece we're going to be getting into?
I was going to say, okay, so once you read your first piece and talk about the piece, then let's talk about the first book, because I have a question to ask when you're done with that, because this is pretty awesome. This is interesting stuff you're talking about.
Well, I'm glad I'm not boring the shit out of you guys. That's always a good sign.
Nah, dude, stories are boring, bro.
No, we never get fucking bored. These people are fucking great. Our community is fucking awesome. So
And just real quick, you can understand me, because sometimes I do this thing where in the Northeast we talk and like 5 words become one. I do that a lot sometimes. So as long as you can understand me, I can slow it down a little bit.
You loud and listen, y'all need to tell me if y'all understand me.
All right.
Listen, I'm the most socially awkward person on the planet, so
no,
it's all good.
Andy, I think I get that one.
No, I think we're both on the same level, I think, because my wife has to shush me sometimes.
Well, your wife met me, and she definitely knows I'm too loud. All right, go ahead, Greg. So, Greg, what's this piece that we're going to hear about first? And again, everybody who's paying attention now, or obviously this is going to be replayed, you can get this piece along with many others in Greg's second book, which will be available on Amazon on April 4th. That's really soon. So let's hear it.
Okay, so this one is called Every Hour on the Hour. It goes like this. He looked over from his recliner to the clock on the wall that loomed over him like the chaplain that escorts the condemned. 9:30, he thought to himself, defeated. Off to bed soon. And it was such a nice weekend, too. Fuck. He did not get up to move to the bed. Instead, he remained seated. Sadness washed over him. A great, overwhelming wave of sadness that was soon followed by an equally large wave of dread. All those applications, he thought to himself. All those interviews this past month. They went nowhere. Meaningless. Fucking meaningless. After roughly 10 minutes, he finally rose and walked. Shuffled, rather, like a sad old man 60 years his senior, towards his bed. He stared at the unmade bedding, and a terrible numbness overtook him to the point he thought he felt his knees buckle. He finally got undressed and laid down, and stared at the ceiling in sorrow before shutting his eyes. I swear, he said aloud to nothing but empty space, at the rate I'm going, the only way I'll escape this job is when I escape this life. He hardly slept. He had a nightmare that was nothing more than a bad day at work. No monsters, no death, just a bad day. He then proceeded to wake up every hour on the hour for the next 6 hours until his alarm went off at 4:30, and the week could begin fresh and new. He didn't have it in him to even turn the alarm off. Instead, he wept. It then occurred to him he was all out of sick days, and he wept some more. End scene.
Wow. Bro, let me tell you, man. I thought there's a Will Ferrell movie that I was thinking about when you were reading this. And I gotta say, I don't know if you know, but you have a good narrating voice, like a voice for radio. I don't know if you realize
I definitely hear that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. You want, okay, so remember when I said I skipped a couple years to my second foray in college? Well, my first one, I actually studied broadcasting.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's where the communications came from, right?
Yeah, so I originally wanted to be, I was going to be the next Howard Stern, but that didn't quite pan out.
Hey, I think you might be inspiring something, by the way. I'm just saying.
Yes.
We're always looking for expansion.
Yeah, that would be cool.
But absolutely, I just gotta say, I felt that one for sure. As somebody who knows the day in and day out, the never-ending coming of Monday from the weekend, and not having enough sick days, and all, just you're never gonna get out of that. You definitely created that atmosphere, and it definitely, like you said, and I said definitely too many times, but I really mean this.
I say definitely a lot too.
I don't even worry about it.
Did completely create that story atmosphere where, even though we're considering this, narrative poetry, it really does come off more as like a snippet in time, and
it's relatable too.
That character, yeah. We all, a lot of us have been trapped in this, that's kind of our human experience.
That was me 5 years ago. Like when I lived in New York. Yeah, that's crazy. But there's a Will Ferrell movie that reminded me of as you're reading that.
Stranger Than Fiction?
I'm mad you knew what I was talking about.
I am
done. I'm done. Yeah. How did you know I was down? That's pretty good.
There was a narration of it. It's a narrative story.
At least he didn't die. And
the clock. And there's a watch in that story as well. Have you seen that Stranger Than Fiction, Greg?
I know of it. I am not the biggest Will Ferrell fan. I got along with you, but I know that movie.
That's okay.
But that particular movie is actually not bad, though.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's totally the anti-Will Ferrell movie. It's
okay.
but still. you don't have to see it. The point is you captured the same essence as what they did in Hollywood. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, that's pretty
thank you.
good, man.
That's what we're saying. It's to that level.
I'll take any praise I can get. Thank you.
I mean, well, hey, Andy, that's the clip for the advertisement.
Yes, there you go.
Mark the
Whoop,
time.
There it is.
That's going to be the snippet for the reel of how we compare it to Hollywood.
Nice.
Oh, God.
They came up short. Greg came up higher than the reality of Hollywood.
Word. They're not ready.
Just
You know what?
Greg,
Hollywood
you
isn't ready for you, man. That's what it is.
No.
They're not ready. So
Nah.
So
let's talk to that first book. So that was
Yeah.
the second book, and we're going to definitely get into the second book because that's what's coming up for our readers. And of course, Greg, we're all about supporting our community here. That's why Andy really led this mission. I'm going to co-sign his mission. We also got Leon on the mission, and everybody else who listens is on the mission as well. And that we're really promoting and supporting each other's work because people just don't know that you're out there. So we want to make sure, even though we're just a small little group, we're going to keep putting everybody out there and keep this thing going. So, like I said, there might have been people out here who have never heard of you before. They don't even know that there's a first book that they can still get, right? They can still get the first book, right? They don't have to wait until April 4th. They don't have to wait until April 4th to get Greg right now. If you want to get Greg, you can get Greg right now because there's a first book. And what's that first book? Let's hear it from you.
The first one is called We Live Like Kings, and yes, that one is still available on Amazon. Just the physical copy right now, but it is still available.
Awesome. So what, Andy, you had a question about the first book, didn't you?
Yeah, but you already kind of answered it. You already asked
I did?
Yeah, he kind of answered it before I even asked the question, so it's all good
Well,
now.
I actually don't think Greg answered the question.
No,
how did you
okay.
come up with the first book? Like, why did you
like the
come
name.
up with the book in the first place?
Oh, sorry, what was that question? I didn't hear that one.
Like, so it's coming from, like, we're talking like you're already working on your second book. Like, we went from somebody who was playing with WWE action figures, kind of dicking around with his imagination. I don't know if you guys heard earlier, he used to sit out and stare in the yard with just a net on top of him, doing nothing. And then, like, so-and-so, you put a book together. How did that come along? Like, what made you go from this, like, oh, hey, guy, hey, do you know you have a talent in this, to actually putting your own collection of work out? And who did you go through as far as actually putting that out? Because that's kind of like my mission this year is to figure out how I'm going to do my own thing. And I learned from you guys. So what made you do this? That's kind of a big deal, Greg. That's kind of a big fucking deal to put your own fucking book out there.
I mean, I'm modest to a fault, and I'm way too hard on myself, so I'll never agree with that. But
that's fine. You don't have to agree with me. I can be right regardless. What made you do it?
Well, once I got all that, the praise and the encouragement, I was like, all right, I'll try it. And I wrote a whole bunch of stuff, and over the years, a lot of it when I worked at FedEx, and I had my my little office foray there.
Stop it. Like, so and obviously Burkowski worked at a post office too, I think, in his career too.
I got that influence actually from Carver, because I read somewhere in an essay he wrote that he used to be a janitor, and when he was done working, he'd hide in the closet and write. So
that's cool.
I was like, he can do it.
I just like the common human, and I'm going to say human, even though there seem to be a lot of male influences in general. There's not a lot of female, like, I was in the grocery store and then I wrote a novel. So again, I'm just going to say human in general. Like, everyday humans really putting their intellect, the human experience out there, and people finding it to be refreshing and well received. So you kind of had that same experience. You had a lot of praise. Did you put a collection of work together with kind of like a theme involved, or you just put collections of work that you had put together over the years and you're like, this is it?
That's kind of what happened. It was like I had a whole bunch of stuff stockpiled, and I was like, let me clean them up, put them together. And I was like, I don't know where the hell I'm actually even going to go for this. This is like 5-6 years ago.
Okay.
A friend of mine encouraged me to like write the Instagram slides and start posting them. I was like, I mean, okay, I don't know the first I think about Instagram other than, people like to show off stupid shit that they don't really do on it. So yeah, I would do these slides, and I would start posting these slides, and eventually, I mean, I do not have that many followers. I really don't. I don't even think I have 500. but I have this core group of people who have been there since pretty much day one, and they kind of kept me going. I was like, I'm gonna do it for these people, and I would get encouragement from people saying, don't get discouraged, just do it because you love it, and that's like, and that's what I kept telling myself, do it because I love it. And
I got to tell you that the research team did come back. You do have over 500 followers, so
wow, okay.
You do have over 500. That is, the research team has come back with a.
We don't have a research team, Angela. Come on.
I'm the research team, dude. I'm the research team.
So if we half those from people who are still alive or exist in reality,
but
and then half.
You can't feed yourself off of Instagram and any of that. You got to do it for the work, and that's the point. I'm glad that you were not discouraged in that. So you continue to do that, and what happened after that?
Honestly, I stumbled on. Well, no, I didn't stumble on it. She stumbled onto me. Andy knows her, Tara. He just interviewed her the other day.
Oh, we just interviewed, Tara Caribou.
She stumbled onto me. I noticed that like somebody had liked like 30 pieces of mine. I'm like, what the hell? And then it was Tara, and I was like, well, I have no idea who this is, so I'm gonna see if they're a real person.
And, catfishing is real sometimes, man. You can't.
She is a real angel.
Yes.
She is a real god.
So I checked out her info, and it said she publishes. And I'm like, well, shit. I got this. I've been sitting on this one little manuscript for like a year and a half because I shipped it to different people. I'm talking like I got. I'm gonna try not to get mad here, but I got.
Hey, listen, this is
reality.
No, yeah, I was gonna say. I'm sorry. My bad. One thing I'm gonna say is about this platform. Hey, listen, this is your space. The slogan I always go by is a place for a safe space for your voice to be heard. So say whatever you wish. If you want to curse, you can curse. You want to.
Additionally, Greg, we as the audience who also are new to your experience, we need to know what the fucking reality is, and that's part of it. Like,
because the grass ain't always green.
Part of the reason a lot of us stay away is because we're fearful of our own rejections, and rejection is just a natural part of the process, and that's what a lot of our previous interviewers have said. So yeah, you get fucking pissed because they were fucking wrong.
Well, no, because I mean, I saw all these all those chat book publishers really piss me off, to be honest with you, because they all say the same thing. They all say, we're for, the working person. We're for the voice that's not heard, all sorts of bullshit like that. And every single one, I'm not going to name names or anything, but
names, but you can tell me later.
Every single one that I asked, help for. I'm like, hey, I'm new to this, or hey, I got some stuff here. They either ignore me, they deny me, up and fucking down. And that's the thing that really, that's why I'm glad there's people like you guys who are taking like anybody, whatever your style is, whatever your background is, whatever your personality is, because these self-publishers that I've noticed, they're circle jerks. It's people who got together. It's like 4 or 5 people who got together and said, hey, let's publish ourselves and fuck everybody else, with the illusion that we're here for you.
So,
but they're here. But they're there for themselves. But they're there for themselves. And
I like that you're saying it. I like that you're saying it. I don't like what they are doing. I'm saying I like that you're saying it, and that's the point.
And that's what it is, but no one really talks about that enough.
Probably, it's like you're not the only person that feels that way, and you don't have those people expressing that opinion where other people could be like, that was also my experience, then we're not going to know that.
Like there's one guy. I'm sorry. There's one guy. Tara fucking actually she posted something saying, got my book mail in today, and it was this motherfucker who completely ignored me. I've read him. He's garbage. If I wanted to read crappy Charles Bukowski, I'd read crappy Charles Bukowski.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I flat out told him, like, this guy's an asshole. Actually, I think I said worse than that, but my mother's probably listening, so I'm not gonna say that. But it's those kind of people.
I'll keep it clean.
It's those kind of people that sort of dominate the quote unquote Instagram writers community or whatever. Because, and you gotta remember, people who consider themselves artists are some of the most pretentious, snobby, elitist motherfuckers on the planet.
Absolutely, of course. I think that's part of it.
And I
our shit
do
is
not.
So good. It's better
and I do not like.
not.
Mhm.
But
And I do not like tribal mentality. I don't like tribal mentality in general. So seeing all of these different quote unquote publishers and whatnot, what they were putting out is like, you guys are literally no better than I am. I actually told, I had this, I met Andy a couple of days ago. We talked. I said, sometimes you got to think you have the biggest swinging dick in the world. So sometimes I think that I have the biggest swinging dick in the world and that I'm untouchable. I think you kind of have to.
Too, Greg, I always think I got the biggest swinging dick in the world, Greg.
I can see that. You just plop it down, don't you?
I'm done. I am done. Oh shit.
You just
talking about big dicks, and I expect Angela Murray to not talk about her own fucking big dick, right?
You just walk in the room and plant it, don't you? You just walk in the room and flop it right on the table.
You're not familiar with my work, Greg.
But yeah, no, getting back. No, sometimes you have to have that ego. You have to have that swagger.
Yeah.
I think in order to get anywhere in this sort of line of work or hobby.
I agree with you, Greg. Because you gotta believe that your shit is so good. Why wouldn't you pass up on my shit? Because
exactly,
I struggle too. Because Greg, as much as I talk about my big dick, I'm just as insecure, if not more so, than anybody else here. I'm pretty.
I struggle with low self-esteem, even though I hide it. But I do struggle with low self-esteem. Even though I kind of hide it, but like people who know me on a personal level, they know I have very low self-esteem. I'm always the guy that like, nah, it's whatever, but really it is something kind of thing. Like, so I get it. I get what you guys are talking about because it's like. It's easy for us to put ourselves down and like, okay, hey, this is cool and all that. You know?
Especially, Andy, when there are groups that are saying, hey, we're here to help you. And when you're coming out saying, hey, just can you answer a question for me? And they're fucking ignoring you. That's bullshit.
Oh, God. It is
and
bullshit.
that was your experience.
No, and
yeah.
I'm glad.
But
I'm glad with
through.
Yeah.
Tara came through because Tara came through, right, for you?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what happened.
So
she reached out to you, or no? She started kind of getting into your stuff, and you reached out.
And then to her. Let him talk, Angela.
Yeah. Well, she's not wrong. You're not wrong. I give you that. But so no, I emailed her and I said, hey, do you do open submissions or is there like a cutoff or whatever? Because I've been sitting on this thing for like a year, and I got nowhere to huff it to. And she's like, oh yeah, I'll totally have a read at it. And I was like, cool. So I sent it along, and like a few days later, she wrote me back. She's like, it would be my honor to publish this. I'm like, fucking honor, whatever.
Dang. And like it's a couple of days return. Wow, that's pretty like encouraging too. Like to have that right away.
Yeah, and I was like, holy shit, this is cool. And obviously, I checked her out to make sure she was legit and not just a scam artist.
Right.
But once I did, I was like, yeah, you have my permission to do it ever the hell you want. This is your area. I'm just kind of along for the ride here. And I'm lucky that after however X amount of years of just being discouraged and be like, hey, should I burn this shit? Should I find a new hobby? That sort of thing. I stumbled right into it. And awesome. Off to the races. That's pretty much, off to the races. That's how it went.
Yeah, and you said this was about 5 or 6 years ago when the whole process started.
I'm sorry, what was that?
You said this first book, the process started about 5 or 6 years ago, or?
I mean, not specifically for this book. I mean, I started writing a whole bunch of shit, like, over the course of like a decade, but like really I started picking up steam and getting better and better and honing the craft, so to speak, to the point where I was like, okay, I think I have my own style. I think I have my own me now. This is unquestionably me, because I don't want to be like I said,
a band Bukowski.
Yeah, I don't want to be a cover band. That's what I see a lot of these.
John Updike.
Oh my God! You know what's crazy? I remember when we had Angela. Remember when we had Arthur Wilhelm on the show? Yeah,
no, I don't remember. Wait, who?
No, Arthur Wilhelm. You're funny.
Yeah.
No, so he said.
Sorry, Greg. Arthur was my first interview ever. That's why that's funny to me. And then we already interviewed him twice. So.
But I mean, the point
Arthur's
is okay, but
mine, I guess.
Okay, but the point I'm trying to make is he said something very interesting that is related to what you said, that people just do shit because it fucking looks cool and shit.
Yeah.
But you know, like you don't even know what the fuck this is. And he has like a poem, recorded poem called "I Drank Bourbon Older Than You." Like, please, I've had bourbon older than you. Who the fuck are you? Kind of thing. It's the same thing with any kind of culture. You see someone else, monkey see, monkey do. Oh yeah, it looks cool. Like when you you wear clothing name brand. Oh, I got Gucci too type shit. That's what that is too. Any community, because it looks cool, but like when it comes to the poetry, yeah, it's cool. So let me write poetry, but you don't really understand the emotion as to why we write what we and why we love to do what the fuck you do. So you just jump on the bandwagon because it looks cool and it looks like a interesting situation, but in reality, you don't know dick. Like,
yeah, and these
annoying.
these groups create their own little elitist culture, whether it's like, the quote unquote punk rock working class poets, who I think are the most full of shit motherfuckers on the planet, or the other end of the spectrum full of shit motherfuckers, which are like the suburbanites who can pay to go on these fucking writers retreats in the middle of wine country. It's like, well, shit, I would love to go on a writers retreat in the middle of wine country. I can't afford to do that. What the fuck? I've never had I never got that lucky sort of how some guys some people are like, oh, in school, I met my mentor who was my college professor, and they pushed me. That didn't fucking happen for me. I didn't have no mentor.
You had a mentor, so that's that. Also, you made your own way. You carved your own path through the stone, Greg. That's better than finding a mentor and having no fucking struggle.
Well, stop it. The ego is swelling. The ego is swelling easy.
Well, let's get the ego going even more. Let's get another piece for book 2. So you got another piece for us, right? Don't you?
I do.
Let's keep the ego going. Let's hear some more from Greg here. This is again from book 2, and then because after this, let's talk about your journey post book 1 into holy shit, we're doing it again. Greg's putting out a book. We can get it on April 4th.
All right.
Out real soon. So, Greg, what's this piece? What do we got for us now?
Okay, no. This one is called The Last Son of Krypton. And it goes like this. We almost lost you last year when you passed out at the wheel and rolled a handful of times into a field where luckily there were no trees to hit or ponds to drown in. To this day, you still insist it was due to bad popcorn you ate at the movies, and not on the fact that you've just finished a 6,000-mile road trip in less than a week. That's the first and only time I ever saw you scared. Hooked up to IVs and machines in the ER bed, not knowing why in Christ's name you were there. You're human, just like the rest of us. That's why you were there. Yet somehow you escaped a rollover with nothing but a black eye from an errant golf ball smacking you in the face. Yes, you easily run 6 miles a day and hike almost every other. Yes, you're healthier and look better than most men half your age, and you'll probably outlive me, and hell, that's a testament to yourself. But, contrary to what you believe, you are in fact not the last son of Krypton. You're retired. Take it just a little easy. You're the only dad we got, and there's still many miles to go, and many putts to sink. End scene.
Nice. Yo.
Oh, thank you.
Wow. Talk to me about this piece. Come on.
Okay, so a few years ago, my dad, that's a true story. My dad, he retired, and he's like, I'm going to go on a road trip. And he drove from New York out to, Wyoming, down to New Mexico, across the South, through Arkansas, and then back up the coast. And he did it in less than a week because he didn't sleep. Because he didn't sleep. He slept on the side of the road. And he slept on the side of the road and drank. Yeah. And he didn't drink water because my dad doesn't believe in hydration, so he just drank soda the entire time. And so, yeah, he had this rollover because he passed out at the wheel. And he'd say, and he wasn't saying, he wouldn't admit, to fatigue or weakness or anything. So, he's like, oh, the popcorn I had in the movies must have been just bad. So I felt nauseous and I passed out. I'm like, okay, whatever, Dad. But, so he had this nasty rollover. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Your dad must be some tough son of a bitch, huh? He's a tough guy?
You wouldn't think it, but he is. He really is.
Well, if he's saying it's popcorn that caused that rollover and not his own exhaustion, I'd say he's pretty tough.
Well, that or he's he'll never admit to defeat. he doesn't concede lightly. He's that kind of guy.
Stubborn. Right,
yeah, oh God, yeah. Yeah. So he had that really nasty rollover, but he escaped all injury. He did every single test possible. He had no blood clots, no nothing like that. So the only injury he had was a black eye from a golf ball smacking him in the face.
Wow.
And And the reference, I don't know if you know the reference to Last Son of Krypton. That's another nickname for Superman.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know
understood that. Yeah.
if that escaped you.
Yeah.
No.
So it's just like, take it easy. You can.
Can I ask a question? So both of the poems you said end scene, is that also what we see at the end of all your?
Oh no, that's just me telling you guys. That's just me telling you guys I'm done.
I didn't know because
I know that was part of the.
Yeah, let's talk about book 2 because you said book 1 was a collection of kind of Greg's works throughout the time that had been polished up, and Tara looked over and said, "Fuck yeah, we're gonna publish this shit." Book 2, did you come in with a different kind of attitude or ideology? Like, do you have a theme for this one, or is it just another a really cool collection of your works?
It's a little bit of all of that, actually. I mean, a lot of these are archived, or that have come up with. Very few have I come up with within the past 6 months or anything. A lot of them are older ones that I liked, that I posted. I always tell people, whenever you see me post, those are like rough drafts that I just kind of cleaned up. And then the stuff you get in the book is, let me really try to go through this with a tooth comb.
Let's be real, every piece of work is never ever truly finished.
No, God, no.
True.
No, unfortunately. As far as theme goes, I mean, the themes just kind of came into themselves. Like the first book, I think, had a lot of nostalgia, but not like in a sappy way. Just like looking back and wishing I could go back and being a kid again, that sort of thing. I came up with that actually. Do either of you watch Mad Men?
I know. I've seen some episodes. I mean, the notable episode. The notable episode I know is the one where they were tripping on acid and shit. Like,
I mean, that's great. That's hilarious. But the show's about the show's about advertising executives, and and you got Don Draper, who's the big king shit there, and so I sort of got the inspiration whenever I write nostalgically, I come back to this scene from Mad Men where he's trying to sell them on the Kodak carousel. You remember like the you click it and it goes to the next slide?
Yes.
So what he does is he takes all these pictures from his life and he starts at like the present and he works his way to like his first kid being born and his wedding. But as he's giving his speech, he's saying how nostalgia comes from Greek, which means like, I'm paraphrasing here, like picking a wound. And it brings us back to this time that it hurts to go back there because we wish it could be as that moment. And that's kind of where whenever I write nostalgically or like I'm longing for something from back in the day, that's what I gun for. Because it's not supposed to be sappy. Yeah, I don't like...
It's supposed to leave you with a sense of aching.
Exactly, and that's what I gun for there.
Like a dull tooth pain because you want it back to that moment. Because you can't have it. But we're happy to remember it, but it's not in our physical possession, so fuck, I'm so pissed off. I want that so bad. And that's
exactly
what you're going for. I think that's incredible. I think that's exactly what you are creating with some of the writing that we've heard so far tonight. I mean, definitely, if anybody out there hasn't had an opportunity to look through your work, they definitely need to get into that.
Thank you.
Because that's what we're hearing from our friend Greg here, is that you're going to get that feeling of nostalgic longing. It's beautiful, but at the same time, I almost wish I didn't have that drink because the drink is gone, and now I can't have it anymore.
Yep. I mean, at least that's what I gun for. That's what I gun for, and if that's what you get from it, then awesome.
I think you're doing a good job. What do you think, Dan? Do you think you're getting that? I think that's hitting me over here with that kind of feeling.
No.
Can I be honest too, Greg? And then I'll let Andy talk.
No, go ahead.
Especially when you said with your dad getting hit with the golf ball, that really set my dad. I felt my dad in that piece because my dad is retired. He worked 30 years for a life insurance agency. Now he takes care of my mom pretty much full time, and he's old. He was born in 1941, before World War II, before Pearl Harbor. He was actually born. I'm a former Marine, but he was never that Marine as my father because he was older when he had me. But again, he retired, and the only thing he fucking loves is golf. And so the fact that the golf ball hitting your dad in the eye, and that's all the injury it was, it really kind of actually sewed up my feeling with attachment to my own paternal
Mhm.
family. So again, even though you didn't necessarily set out to do that, it's hitting that mark. So whether it's hitting, your own story or connecting other readers to their own connections with their own fathers, I mean, that's that longing nostalgia, which is kind of your voice that you're saying tonight.
Yeah, but that's the
so
way it's
Andy, what
supposed
did you
to
have
be.
to say?
No, I just love to listen to the conversation, so it's great. No,
Good, Andy.
that's
I like
the
to talk in the conversation.
that's the way it's supposed to be. Like you're saying, like let's say if maybe that's how that okay. Like when you wrote your piece about your father, right? Okay, this is what you experienced, right? But like I can read that piece and it could relate to me in a way or speak to me in a way that maybe if let's say Angela read it, it speaks to her differently than how it spoke to me. But the fact that there's a common connection there, that this piece spoke to us in those ways, right? And as far as the stubbornness and not admitting that he was wrong, my father was the same exact way. God rest his soul now, but he was very like he refused, especially coming from like a 1950s Puerto Rican. Unfortunately,
and Greg, his dad was a poet too.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
Yeah, but he never even though he never had anything published. But I think, but it's like the whole stubbornness, the whole I don't know what you're talking about. It was this or it was that. I'm just like. Okay, Dad. It all makes sense. Just the stubbornness behind it, not admitting, pretty much accepting defeat as being an option, because they always have to be right all the time. My way or there's no way.
And I will say, Greg, you did bring up something that has been pretty much a common debate amongst most of our poets that have come through our interviewing doors. Is can we really write a happy poem that will be well received? It seems like a lot of us want that.
I wonder why that is.
I can dig out a happy one if you want.
Greg's got the.
Oh, he's the first.
He'll throw it
Well,
down.
I can look for one. I don't know if I can actually just. Well, next time you guys go on a tangent, I could probably look for one. Let me see.
Well, I can go on a tangent any second of the day, Greg. So.
Of course.
God, now I'm rummaging through my pages here trying to see if I do. What is a good happy one here?
It's so rare to find a happy
Greg,
one.
Is it happy or is it happy with that longing nostalgia?
No. I have some happy ones.
Like
as long as it's not Pharrell bullshit, we're good, right? Wait, what?
No, yeah. Let me see here.
Wait, candy and
I don't mean candy bubble gum isn't fake or nasty, but
you mean like Britney Spears-ish?
No, I'm just saying.
That's bubble gum. That's that Mickey Mouse shit. I don't know about all that.
I think it's possible, Greg. I think it is possible to have a really good bubble gum piece, but
I think I found one. I think I found one.
Greg's got a happy bubble gum piece. Let's hear it.
Greg. So this is actually from the first book.
Oh, sweet, we got a first.
Nice.
So this is called The Crack of a Bat. So it goes like this.
I'm already feeling happy already.
Okay, so too many poets, writers, artists, and other creative types believe all their inspiration and works must come from the depths of the heart and the soul. Sadness, heartbreak, overcoming obstacles, debauchery, finding oneself, this, that, and the other. Though I am as guilty as the next guy or gal of finding inspiration in life's garbage heap, it doesn't always need to be like that. And that's not where this poem comes from. Not today. Today, this poem comes from looking outside my window on a late spring day. I'll write about how there's just the right amount of cloud cover to let out just the right amount of sun. That there's just the perfect amount of breeze to carry the freshness of the season and all of life, so that when you close your eyes, you think you're at Fenway Park or Camden Yards. And you can swear on your mother you could hear the crack of a bat somewhere off in the distance. Yes, I am tired and frustrated and exhausted and full of my own life's hatreds. Not today, though. Today, I'm happy to say the heart is contented. Done.
Wow, I like that. That is awesome.
Thank you.
Wow, that was pretty happy, man. I liked it. I definitely need to see that again. I need to read that again to really get the essence of the positivity that you're able to assess there.
What? I mean, that's what
I want to see that in print.
Well, I do. I like I told you, I like to consider myself a muser and an observer, and that one comes from I have this little porch outside my apartment where I just, during the nice months, I sit there, and that's what I do. I sit there and I smoke my pipe, or I get stoned, or I drink there.
All right, there we
and
go.
That's all I do is I just stare off my porch and I think and I observe, and that's where that one came from. So any of the good.
I sit on a porch swing in the middle of the night with my headphones and basically a couple of joints. So
oh, beautiful!
I
Yo, there you go.
We got the same. We got the same riding style.
You know, I live in a house myself too, and there's nothing like a porch. There's something about the porch. I have to say, it's like once you're there, you start like your thoughts just start running, especially if it's nice, quiet and stuff like that, and then you just start writing shit. Like there's nothing like a porch, especially in the spring or summertime, man.
Yep. Whenever I'm out there, I always have a notebook and a pen just in case I think of something. And I'm like, oh wow, I better remember that one.
Same here, yeah, same here.
Yeah, I just listen up and see what things get yelled into my ear.
Yep.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. So that's awesome. So I like the fact that it's not all necessarily. We're not going to say doom and gloom because I like the longing nostalgia. I like that as the terminology for the theme. Longing nostalgia, but yeah, we can. It's just again, it's like a little slice of life. That short story, your
yeah, and
like the Updike and.
It comes from one of my favorite John Updike quotes, and it was one of those big things that made me go, let me keep that in mind when I write. Is his whole goal was to give the mundane its beautiful due, and that goes just there's a story in everything. You know, you don't have to. Nothing dramatic needs to happen. Nothing dramatic needs to happen. Yeah. And I remember, I think it's a Chekhov quote where he says, "Action doesn't happen in an action-oriented way. The family could be sitting having family dinner, and lives could be falling apart, and it's all internal. And that's really where the action is. It's not a lot of people like that minimalist, ambiguous style, but I take to it, man. I absolutely love it. I think that's where you get the real emotion from. Not, people confuse rawness with emotion. That's just my opinion. Any idiot can write something raw. I can write something with just peppered with curse words and graphic anything, but there's no skill to that. And like I said, any idiot can do that. So, but to really let yourself open up and bleed, like Hemingway said. That's where, at least from my own experience, that's where the realness comes from. That's where you get the emotion from. And I think if people feel that, if it's sincere, then you could write 3 lines and it could be the best thing that they've read all day.
Yes, I struggle with the minimalist as far as verbosity goes. Verbosity, I can't be simple and write very simply, but I do believe that there is power and complexity in simplicity. And that's really my jealousy. I want to be able to write simply and complexly. I just can't do it yet. I'm a word vomit artist, and my vomit's just very colorful, perhaps. I don't know. But yeah, I think everything you said was very profound, and I think it was important. And I'm glad that you were able to express that. Because, Andy, don't you think that's exactly where you've been saying that too? Everybody has a story, and that's really what Andy's mission has been with our whole little podcast. Is hearing from people like you. Like, I feel so honored today that we get to continue to interact with such great, writers, creators, artists, poets, just as yourself. Because again, I think you had a lot of really good, important history that not everybody shares. And then again, most of our writers are like, yeah, I knew from Jump Street I was going to be a writer, and I just happened to have a side job, or I did this, I did that, I did this, and did that. But again, we don't know who you are until we get to meet you, and I appreciate hearing this backstory. Andy, continue this incredible conversation. What do you got for me, Andy?
Yeah, you pretty much just stole the show, Angela. It's interesting though, because it's so true what you said. Everybody has a story to tell. It's just a matter of
you said that, Andy.
But it's like, but to add on to what you're saying though, is like, I pretty much wanted to provide the space where we can all tell each other some stuff, because let's be honest, it might not mean nothing now, but years down the road, they'll be like, oh, I remember watching this, or I remember listening to this. It's like, and it seems like podcasting is definitely the thing, and the fact that it's interesting because this podcast or community, I guess community has been through a lot, because it's been through a lot of rebranding changes until I guess it was one of those, when something starts, you got to go through the growing pains and shit like that. And that's pretty much what this is. And I think Unraveled Influence just made sense. Like, we have a lot of influence to unravel, and it just makes sense that, to just reach out, because I don't want to, because I know what it's like to not have a place or not being provided to something. But if I can be the one that provides, and then here we are telling each other stories, relating, and pretty much breaking bread, if put it that way. And I think that's an awesome thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I just wish there was more of this, but hopefully I can be the beginning aspect of the bridge, and hopefully we can inspire others to do the same. But one thing I've learned, and I've learned this recently, I've learned this from other poets too, it sucks that even though it's meant for everybody, unfortunately it can't be for everybody, because let's be real, all it takes is if you give it to everybody, then somebody fucks it up, and then everything gets fucked up and discombobulated, and it sucks. Yeah. We forget why we're here.
Yeah, and I think that's what Greg said earlier at the beginning when he said, just don't be frustrated. We got to do it for the work, and that's what I'm here for. We're here for the art. So, Greg, after this book, which, again, everybody out there can get on April 4th. Again, April 4th is when we get the second book. You can still get the first book now. You don't have to wait for the first book if you're interested here for our friend Greg. But what's next after the second book? Because I know we're getting short on our time together.
Yeah, is there like a theme to each of your books, or was it just random poetry you put together for both books, the first and the second?
And he said that he has a collection of all of his works. It's kind of an archive, but the second book seemed to be a collection of archive poems, but also set to hit kind of that nostalgia, longing nostalgia in the second book. But it's an archive of past poems.
Yeah, the second one is interesting. As I was working on it, that's when the theme sort of showed itself. And this one
kind of arose as it was going, as you were piecing the pieces together. The theme came out as you were doing it. Is that what you're saying here?
Yeah, this one is a lot, because I wrote this one during a time of personal. I don't want to say that because it makes me sound dramatic. I don't want to say personal crisis.
It's
but
okay. We're human here. We all know what that means. Okay.
No, I was going through a crisis. It was a period of crises, and I guess growth. A lot of hurt, healing, and growth. That those big three.
Somebody once recently just told me that our voice usually is found when we're at like the bottom of this is at that point. Our voice is found at the bottom of it all. So good, I'm glad.
And
obviously that part is over now.
Right? No.
Okay, well, never mind. I'm so sorry. That means
no. That's you're good.
It's coming. Good work is coming then.
It's
still coming.
Yeah. But so anyways.
I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good. Where was I?
My life sucks too right now. Hey, my life sucks too right now. Cheers.
So as I was writing this, I noticed that a lot of my pieces came around the theme of like letting go and acceptance and trying to move forward, which is impossibly difficult for me to do as a person. I am awful at letting things go. But it got to a point where I'm like, I fucking have to do that.
Is it because of your father? Is it because your father might be stubborn also?
I have no doubt.
I think
there's no question. There's no question I'm my father's son.
My bachelor's is in psychology. My bachelor's is in psychology, if it helps.
Oh, no, I mean,
can't say that.
There's no question I'm my father's son.
Okay,
no, but you know what's interesting? I think it is definitely generational, because it wasn't until my son was born, and he's 4 now, and like, I look back at him, back at that, and I can't help but to wonder, is interest? No, yeah. So I find it very interesting that once you have your own child, or at least in my experience, I've learned more about myself than I've learned about myself in my entire life, because I have a child, because I am married, because I have a wife. And I mean, well, obviously I had a wife, but and it's just interesting to see, like, there's certain aspects of myself, and I look back and wow, I've inherited a lot of my dad's bad habits that I'm like, okay, I really gotta change. But you said something very interesting, and I struggle with that myself, and it's acceptance and letting go, because one of the biggest struggles I've had, even though it's not as bad now, but for pretty much the entirety of my life, is accepting the answer that's given to me, and then letting go of the fact that I can't accept it. It's like, oh, but why? Just help me understand. And the thing is, I have to accept the fact that, you know what? you're never gonna have the answers to every fucking question you have, and that is the struggle that I struggle with for a long time, and it's hard. And like we mean well, we really just want to understand so we can grow, but sometimes when we act out of emotion, it comes out so differently, and then it's just like, what the fuck, you know? But like you said, acceptance and letting go, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure that's for everybody, but I think for me, because also for us men, we're just so prideful in that way. It's like, okay, no, but it has to be another way, and sometimes there isn't just another way sometimes. So it's interesting.
Yeah, men. Gosh, men.
No, it's true though, because us men, let's be honest, we're not always going to be willing to really humble ourselves to really accept the fact that
men are not humble. No.
Oh God, no.
I mean, it's possible. It's just it's hard. I mean, you have to really be put in a situation that humbles you in order for you to humble yourself, if that makes sense. And it's a hard journey.
Preach,
man,
Andy. Preach on the men, please.
Every time I've been humbled, I've hated it, but afterwards I'm glad it's happened.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't like to be humbled either, friends. I don't like to be humbled at all.
But
I remember
women mature faster than men. But women mature faster than men.
Oh yeah, without question.
You did say something too, though. Experience is life's greatest teacher, and as well as somebody who teaches high school in my real life, I can say that for a certainty. That experience is gonna that's where you're gonna learn, is through your own experience.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, pride operates in silence though first. That's something I've learned too. Pride operates inside before it comes outside.
Observe,
sense.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is
So what is next for Greg though? Greg, are you going to be putting a collection of books?
I would like to. I still have plenty of stuff to comb through. I also want to get started on I have short fiction and short story ideas up the ass that I haven't even gotten halfway through, because that's a whole different process.
So why haven't you dived over there?
Because I've been working on these and I have my other job and all sorts of bullshit excuses, but
because of life, okay.
But it's something it's like I said, it's a different process, because I have to I'm writing differently, because if I have to have dialogue in it, or how do you want to tell the timeline? There's a whole lot that I have to sit down and think a little bit more. Where as opposed to my little pieces here, my snippets, I can go through them like it's almost nothing. There's more thought that goes into the short fiction writing, at least for me. But I would like to dive back into those and start churning some of those out if I can. I would absolutely love to do that, because I have some that I've been sitting on that I think could be just as good as any of my best small pieces.
Wow. No, makes sense. So, we are approaching towards the end.
That's awesome.
I guess my question to you is, do you have any final thoughts?
But what actually, do you have one more piece?
I could give you one more piece. Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's do
one more piece from Greg.
I'll do that.
Final thought after that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is called Top Shelf. It goes like this. I barely paid the minimum on my credit card yesterday, he said to her from across the table. But I sit here with you at a restaurant I can't afford regularly, with my $400 Swiss watch on my wrist, wearing a Ralph Lauren sweater, Joseph A. Bank dress boots, and there's top shelf gin in this martini. He took a deep sip from his aforementioned top shelf martini. Then he reached across and took her hand in his. I'm nervous as shit every day of falling into that pit, afraid that my future will be terrible, that anything good that happens has a price to pay the piper later. But hell, beautiful, sometimes you have to know when to throw caution to the wind and say, fuck it, today I goddamn live. He sipped his martini again, and she sipped hers, and she looked at him in a way that made him think she was the first person to believe in him. Done.
Wow.
Thank you.
I'm glad that we ended with that piece. Can you say that last two lines again? I really like how that ended.
Oh, I just closed the page.
You know what? You could rewind it, Angela. Rewind it.
I'll rewind it. When I listen to the replay, I'm going to hit rewind, because I just really like how those last two lines really just hit. The fact that she drank from her martini as well was just really a nice way to really kind of end that kind of, again, you do such a great job of setting up those little scenes. Again, I think Greg really did a great job.
This could be a movie. You play your cards right. This could become little movie snippets, like skits and stuff. You could actually do magic with this.
Oh, that'd be beautiful.
We told him Hollywood needed to get up on Greg. So
that's
we already worked on this.
I would love to be like paycheck Stephen King there and just be like, oh yeah, sure, whatever piece of shit you want, here, take it, write that check.
All right, but Greg, if that happens, I want a cut.
So there you go. I will sell my soul if it comes time.
Set it first.
Oh my God. So okay, so awesome. So
okay, he'll sell soul, and he also said I could have 3% from the back end.
Okay, why not?
Why not? So any
final
last
thoughts from Greg?
Yes,
overall,
final thoughts.
Again, thank you so much for joining us. What are some final thoughts for us?
I don't even know. I mean, thanks for having me and giving me this chance. I mean, this is the first time I've ever even been spotlighted in really anything.
Greg,
no bullshit.
Well, Greg, you interviewed like a champion. Well, Greg, you definitely interviewed like you had been interviewed before. It must be that communication.
Must be. I mean, when I feel okay with people, I let the freak flag fly. You know. But no, I appreciate the chance. As far as any other final thought, I don't think I have any. I just
no, but we definitely should do a part 2. We definitely got to do a part 2 soon, for sure.
Yeah, I'd love to come back for a part 2.
We gotta do this.
Well, that's okay.
Set that up. Yes.
To be continued.
No, I would love to come back. Anytime you want me, I'll come back.
Get on Amazon. Hold on. Other than Amazon, how else can people get in touch with you? Just through Instagram?
Yeah. What I'm trying to do now, because I didn't do this last year for some reason, because I'm so new to this. If you do want like a signed copy or anything, I use Venmo, so you can Venmo me, and I'm buying the little book envelopes from like Staples and the post office, and if you pay me, I can get me your address. I can get it out to you.
Whoa!
I'm.
Hold on. Why are we just saying this now? Hold on. Say it again.
Yeah. You know what?
The author. We can't just drop this in the last second.
Listen, that's the best part for last. What you mean?
All right. So, but that information is available on Instagram if they want to Venmo or contact you as far as getting a signed personal copy from the author themselves.
Yeah,
they can contact you through Instagram.
Yeah, I'm pretty easy to get a hold of, and I respond pretty quickly. Yeah, once I get any payment, I'll try to get it out as quickly as I can. So I'm trying to do that this year, with this book. Yeah, I'm easy. I'm super.
Are you charging
super easy.
per word on the inscription?
Oh no, that's
petty pitching right there.
That's compliments of the house.
Well, listen, I just want to know because when I get my inscription, I want a nice inscription.
I'm just gonna do my initials.
That's all you get.
I deserve that, Greg.
Nah.
So you
I'll
get
definitely contacting for that personal signed copy.
Absolutely.
Just your initials.
Whenever you like. I'm just gonna have to remember to like get another shipment in at some point.
Sounds good.
But yeah, but I still have some physical ones available, quite a few. So yeah, come get yours. Come get them.
All right. Well, definitely be doing that. And anybody else, if you don't know how to get to that and contact us, we'll help you get to Greg. All right, because I know you guys definitely want to get that copy out there.
No doubt. So, Greg, thank you for saying yes. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to have, pretty much for you to tell your story, share your life with us. We definitely got part 2. So thank you for saying yes to us.
Absolutely.
I do want to thank Tara because she's the one that introduced me to you.
Yes,
she's the one to say,
Tara.
hey, why don't you hit this guy and this guy? I'll say, yeah, hey, the more people, the more we can get together and just break bread and just have a good time and have a good laugh and talk like we did today. So, Greg, thank you so much. And let's definitely talk again soon.
Absolutely. Anytime, guys. Anytime.
All right.